Can I ask you something a little personal? Have you ever stood in your kitchen holding a glass of green juice or chopping fresh spinach, thinking to yourself, I'm doing the right thing, I'm taking care of myself? And yet, just a few weeks later, you find yourself waking up dizzy. Or maybe your arm tingles, your heart skips, you can't remember the name of the person you just talked to. You start to wonder, how can this be happening? I eat clean, I walk every morning, I don't smoke. I've seen this story too many times, and as a neurologist who has spent over 30 years caring for older adults across the country, I'm here to tell you something that may be hard to hear, but could save your life. The very vegetables you've been told are good for your brain could, if eaten the wrong way, at the wrong time, or in the wrong combination, slowly raise your risk of stroke, memory loss, or even sudden collapse. No one warns you. There's no label on kale saying, warning, do not eat this before bed if you take blood pressure medication. No one tells you spinach can cancel out your blood thinner, or that celery can quietly dehydrate you until your heart skips a beat. But I've watched it happen. I've watched smart, careful seniors, people just like you, who tried to do everything right, only to end up in my clinic after a fall, a mini stroke, or a silent brain bleed. Not because they were careless, but because they were never told how aging changes the rules. That's why I made this video. To give you the knowledge no one else is giving you. Not to scare you, but to protect you. Because after the age of 60, your body becomes more sensitive. Your kidneys filter differently. Your brain needs more blood, more stability, and less chaos. Even healthy food can become risky if it doesn't fit your medications, your blood pressure pattern, or your time of day. So I invite you to stay with me. Over the next 30 minutes, I'll walk you through 9 common vegetables that, while nutritious for many people, may silently raise your risk of stroke or cognitive decline if you're over 60. I'll show you real stories, real patients, and more importantly, real solutions that you can start today. If you've ever felt confused about what to eat or frustrated that healthy choices don't seem to help, I want to hear from you. Type 1 in the comments if you felt this way. Type 0 if you've never thought about it. And if this message resonates with you, subscribe and ring the bell, because you deserve to protect your brain before it needs saving. Let's begin. Number 1, spinach. The superfood that can quietly undo your stroke medication. Let's start with the leafy green you've been told to eat your whole life. Spinach. It's in smoothies, salads, even your grandkids' cartoons. It's praised in magazines, promoted by doctors, and packed with nutrients. But if you're over 60 and taking a blood thinner, like warfarin, Coumadin, Plavix, or even daily aspirin, spinach could quietly become your brain's hidden enemy. Why? Because spinach is loaded with vitamin K. And while vitamin K helps your blood clot, that's exactly what your medication is trying to prevent. That means this: if you suddenly eat a big spinach salad or start drinking green smoothies every morning, you might be canceling out your blood thinner. Without knowing it, no symptoms, no warning. Until the moment your hand goes numb or your speech slips and you realize it's not a slip-up. It's a stroke. I'll never forget Mr. Raymond Carter, a 79-year-old retired teacher who walked into my office bright-eyed and proud. He told me, "Doc, I've cleaned up my diet. I drink spinach smoothies every morning." But his blood tests told another story. His INR, that's the number we track to see how thin the blood is, had dropped far below safe levels. And one morning, he couldn't lift his arm. He couldn't find his words. It wasn't bad luck. It was vitamin K interfering with his medication. And the truth is, Mr. Carter wasn't doing anything wrong. He was doing what so many seniors are encouraged to do: eat more greens, drink more juice, take control of their health. But no one told him the truth about how spinach, just 1 cup, packed with over 145 micrograms of vitamin K, can clash with the very medications designed to keep him alive. And he's not alone. So let me ask you, do you take any blood thinners? Do you eat leafy greens every day without keeping the portions consistent? If the answer is yes, then your healthy habit might be doing silent damage. That's why I'm not telling you to quit spinach. I'm telling you to balance it. If you eat greens, eat the same amount each day. Don't skip greens 1 week and binge the next. Don't start a new multivitamin without checking its vitamin K content. Because stroke prevention isn't just about what you avoid, it's about what you stabilize. Greens can heal, but in the wrong amount, at the wrong time, they can hurt. If you've ever added more spinach to your diet and felt a little off, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0. I'd love to hear your experience, and remember this: it's not the burger that surprised Mr. Carter's brain. It was the smoothie. Number 2, kale, the super leaf that can quietly drop your blood pressure while you sleep. Kale, the so-called superfood of the century. You've seen it on magazine covers, in grocery aisles, in every green juice and trendy salad. They say it fights cancer, lowers cholesterol, and boosts heart health. For younger adults, that might be true. But if you are over 60 years old, and especially if you're taking blood pressure medications, diuretics, or have ever felt lightheaded when standing up too quickly, kale could quietly turn from healer to hazard. Here's why. Kale contains natural nitrates. These are compounds that help relax and widen your blood vessels. That's great for some people. But if your body is already relaxed from a blood pressure pill, or your heart is slower from age, or your kidneys aren't filtering as efficiently, adding kale to the mix can drop your blood pressure too low, especially at night. When you sleep, your nervous system slows down. Your blood pressure naturally dips. Now add kale juice to your dinner. Suddenly, your body doesn't have enough pressure to push blood to the brain. The danger? You wake up to go to the bathroom, stand up too fast, your vision blurs, your legs buckle, and you fall. That's exactly what happened to Mrs. Florence Green, 83 years old, from Michigan. A clean eater, no smoking, no alcohol. After watching a health documentary, she began making a green juice every evening: kale, apples, celery. She was doing everything right. Except she was also on a mild blood pressure pill, and it was summer. She was dehydrated. One morning, her neighbor found her on the floor. She had collapsed in the kitchen at dawn. When she arrived at the ER, her blood pressure was 82/48. She hadn't had a heart attack. It wasn't a stroke. It was a silent drop in blood flow to the brain. No warning, no pain. Just gravity. Florence survived, but she no longer felt safe living alone. She stopped driving, she gave up her independence, and with tears in her eyes, she told me, "Doctor, I just wanted to age better. I didn't know a green drink could knock me down. That broke my heart, because she didn't do anything reckless. She tried to be healthy. No one warned her how the rules change after 60. Here's what most people don't understand. Low blood pressure is just as dangerous as high blood pressure when you are older. It may not cause pain, but it reduces brain circulation. It increases the risk of falls, brain fog, silent strokes, and loss of independence. So here's my gentle advice. You don't need to stop eating kale, but you do need to be smart about when you eat it. Avoid kale smoothies at night. Eat your greens earlier in the day, ideally at lunch. Drink water steadily throughout the day. And if you take blood pressure medication, especially if you've noticed dizziness or confusion, talk to your doctor before adding kale juice to your routine, because sometimes it's not the medication that causes the crash, it's what you're mixing with it. And it might not be a cheeseburger that drops your blood pressure. It might be a green smoothie. Have you ever stood up quickly and felt dizzy in the morning? Have you ever added kale or green juice to your evening meal? Type 1 in the comments if this has happened to you. Type 0 if you've never had this issue. And if you think kale is shocking, wait until you hear about the next vegetable. Because the root you think is heart-friendly, beets, might be lowering your blood pressure so much at night that you never wake up at all. Number 3, beets, the heart-friendly root that can quietly collapse you at night. Beets are beautiful, bright red, earthy, full of antioxidants. For years, they've been praised as one of the best foods for the heart. Full of nitrates, they help widen your blood vessels. They lower blood pressure. They improve blood flow. At least that's what the articles say. And yes, for many younger adults with healthy kidneys and stable blood pressure, this is mostly true. But if you are over 60 taking blood pressure medication or living with even mild kidney dysfunction, beets can quietly become dangerous, especially when consumed at night. Let me explain. Beets are high in natural nitrates, which your body turns into nitric oxide, a compound that relaxes your blood vessels and lowers your blood pressure. This effect is strong, and when combined with blood pressure medications like ACE inhibitors or beta blockers, the results can be too strong, especially while you sleep, I remember a patient named Joseph Bennett, age 76, from Arizona. He was careful with his health, took his meds, ate clean. He had started drinking beet juice in the evening after reading online that it was good for the heart, but he was already taking lisinopril, a medication that also lowers blood pressure. One night around 2 in the morning, Joseph stood up to use the restroom. He collapsed. His wife found him unconscious, his face pale, his pulse faint. At the emergency room, his blood pressure was 68/42. That is critically low. He had not had a heart attack, not a stroke, but his brain was not getting enough oxygen. He survived, but he was terrified. "Doc," he said, "I thought I was helping my heart. I didn't know I was almost shutting it down." That's the problem. We think more is better. More heart food, more beet juice, more green powders. But after 60, your body doesn't want more. It wants balance, and beets are strong. 1 cup of beet juice can lower your systolic blood pressure by up to 10 points in just a few hours. Add dehydration, a light dinner, and medication, and you've got a perfect storm. Worse yet, beets are also high in oxalates, compounds that can irritate the kidneys and form stones. So if you have even early stage kidney decline, the buildup can quietly increase your risk of kidney damage and blood pressure crashes. You may not feel it right away, but one night your body won't respond. Let me ask you, do you drink beet juice in the evening? Are you taking medication for blood pressure or heart disease? Have you ever felt dizzy or weak when getting out of bed at night? If so, your evening routine may be pushing your heart into dangerous territory. Here is my advice. Do not take beet juice at night, especially not with blood pressure medication. If you love beets, eat them earlier in the day. Boil or roast them, and drink plenty of water. Talk to your doctor. Have your potassium and kidney function checked, because beets may look harmless in the fridge, but inside the body after 60, they can shift your entire vascular balance, quietly and without warning. And if you think that's surprising, wait until we talk about soy, because the next vegetable is especially risky for postmenopausal women, not because of blood pressure, but because it mimics hormones and could quietly trigger a stroke. Let's keep going. Have you ever felt strange after drinking beet juice? Felt dizzy or flushed at night? Type 1 in the comments if you have. Type 0 if you've never had that issue. I want to hear your story. Number 4, soy sprouts, the hormonal trigger that could quietly raise stroke risk in older women. Now let's talk about something that seems harmless, even refreshing: soy sprouts. Crisp, light, plant-based, low in calories, high in fiber. You'll find them in stir fries, spring rolls, even in smoothies labeled hormone balancing or menopause friendly. But if you are a woman over 60, especially postmenopausal, and you eat soy sprouts every day thinking they are good for your heart and hormones, please listen carefully. Because soy sprouts contain phytoestrogens. These are plant compounds that mimic human estrogen. And for a younger woman, that might not be a problem. But for an older woman whose hormones have naturally shifted, whose blood vessels have adapted to low estrogen levels, suddenly adding estrogen-like compounds back into the system can cause vascular confusion. In other words, your blood vessels don't know what to do. They start to contract unpredictably. Clotting factors may rise, blood pressure may fluctuate, and in some women, especially those on blood pressure meds, blood thinners, or hormone-sensitive prescriptions, this can quietly increase stroke risk. Let me tell you about Mrs. Jeanette Morgan. She's 72. A retired nurse from Colorado, kind, sharp. She spent her whole life taking care of others. After menopause, she didn't want to take hormone replacement pills, so she turned to food. Every day, she added soy sprouts to her salad. She drank soy milk. She even snacked on edamame in the evening. She said she felt good at first, more energy, fewer hot flashes. But then, the headaches began. Subtle pressure behind the eyes. Blood pressure bouncing up and down, tingling in her fingers. One morning, she collapsed while folding laundry. She had suffered a mild ischemic stroke, and when the hospital ran her labs, her clotting profile had shifted. The likely reason? Excess phytoestrogens interacting with her blood vessels and medications. She was devastated. She wasn't drinking soda. She wasn't eating junk food. She was trying to heal herself. But the truth is, her older body couldn't process soy like it used to. And no one had told her that soy, while healthy in small doses, can be disruptive in large amounts when estrogen levels are already low. So let me ask you, are you over 60? Are you postmenopausal? Are you eating soy daily, sprouts, milk, tofu, edamame, thinking it helps your hormones? If yes, take a breath. You don't need to cut out soy completely, but you do need to stop eating it every single day. The risk is not in the bean, it's in the habit, the repetition. For older women with blood pressure issues, clotting concerns, or a family history of stroke, daily soy intake may quietly shift your blood chemistry, and you won't feel it until the damage is done. Jeanette now eats soy once or twice a week. She avoids soy milk altogether. She told me, "If I don't understand how something works in my body, I don't eat it every day." That's smart. So here's my gentle advice. Talk to your doctor about your soy intake. Rotate your proteins. Don't chase hormonal balance through food trends, because real balance comes from awareness. And if you think plant hormones are complex, wait until we talk about salt, because the next vegetable on our list might seem comforting, but could be flooding your arteries with sodium and raising your risk of stroke every single day. Have you ever added soy sprouts or soy milk to your routine and felt off? Type 1 if yes. Type 0 if not. I'm listening. Number 5, pickled vegetables. The salty tradition, quietly raising your stroke risk. There's something comforting about pickled vegetables. A slice of dill pickle with lunch, a bit of sauerkraut with sausage, a spoonful of kimchi at dinner. For many seniors, these foods are tradition, homemade, passed down from grandma, stored in glass jars on the pantry shelf. But what most people don't realize is that pickled vegetables are packed with sodium. And as you age, your body becomes more sensitive to salt, especially your arteries, kidneys, and brain. That same salty crunch that feels familiar may quietly be raising your blood pressure, stiffening your arteries, and setting the stage for a stroke. Let me tell you about Mr. Harold Dempsey. He's 81, a Korean War veteran, strong, independent, never smoked, rarely drank, but every day he ate homemade pickled okra, green beans, and sauerkraut. They were part of his heritage. He believed in natural food. He trusted tradition. When Harold first came to my clinic, he had experienced sudden dizziness and blurry vision. His family thought it was a blood sugar issue, but when we checked his blood pressure, it was all over the place. Some readings were 180 over 100. Others were as low as 100 over 60. This pattern is called labile hypertension. Unstable, unpredictable pressure, and it's dangerous. It can burst tiny blood vessels in the brain. It can cause mini strokes, often with no symptoms at all. As we reviewed his diet, one thing stood out: his sodium intake. He was eating more than 3,500 milligrams of salt per day. That's over double the safe limit for someone his age. And almost all of it came from his beloved pickled vegetables. He had no idea that 1 cup of sauerkraut can contain 900 milligrams of sodium. That one spear of pickled cucumber can pack over 300 milligrams. These weren't just side dishes. They were slowly damaging the lining of his arteries. Harold looked at me and said, "Doc, I thought I was eating old-fashioned food. My mama lived to 92 on this stuff, and I understood. But what worked for his mama's generation, before blood pressure pills, before sedentary lives, before widespread hypertension, might not work now." So here's my advice. If you enjoy pickled vegetables, enjoy them as an occasional treat, not a daily staple. Always read the sodium content. Don't assume homemade means low salt. If you wake up with headaches, feel swollen in the ankles, or notice your blood pressure creeping up, take a look at your pickles, because that little crunch might be echoing through your blood vessels more than you realize. Have you ever eaten pickled vegetables and felt bloated or dizzy afterward? Type 1 if yes. Type 0 if no. I'd love to hear how food affects you. And now let's move on to something that seems even more harmless. A red fruit in your salad, a staple of soups, sauces, and sandwiches, but for seniors with heart or kidney concerns. This next vegetable might quietly disrupt your heart rhythm and increase your stroke risk. We're talking about tomatoes. Number 6. Tomatoes. The red fruit that can quietly disrupt your heart rhythm. Tomatoes feel safe, familiar. They're in your soups, your sauces, your sandwiches. You've been eating them for decades. They're red, juicy, full of vitamin C. They're considered a heart-healthy food. But if you're over 60, and especially if you're taking blood pressure medication or have any kidney concerns, tomatoes could quietly be doing more than just adding flavor to your meals. They could be disrupting your heart's rhythm. Let me explain why. Tomatoes are very high in potassium, a mineral your body needs, but only in the right amount. For seniors with healthy kidneys, a little extra potassium might be fine. But for many older adults, especially those taking ACE inhibitors like lisinopril or diuretics, your kidneys may not remove excess potassium as efficiently, and that creates a quiet danger. When potassium builds up in the blood, it starts affecting the heart's electrical system. You may not feel it at first, maybe just a flutter, or a skipped beat, or nausea that comes and goes. But if it goes unrecognized, your heart rhythm can go out of sync. This is called arrhythmia, and it can lead to fainting, stroke, or even sudden cardiac arrest. I once treated a woman named Mrs. Edna Talbot, 78 years old, from North Carolina. Every morning she drank a glass of homemade tomato juice. She believed red foods made her feel strong. She also ate avocados, bananas, and potatoes regularly, all high in potassium. And she was on lisinopril. After a few months, she started noticing her heart skipping. Her energy dipped. She had trouble catching her breath while folding laundry. One afternoon, she collapsed. Her potassium level was dangerously high. Not from supplements, not from pills, just from food. It had built up slowly, day by day. As her kidneys aged and her medications prevented potassium excretion, she recovered, but it scared her.
She asked me, "Doctor, how could something from my garden do this to me?" And I told her what I'll tell you now. It's not about one tomato. It's about unaware repetition. When you combine tomato juice, tomato soup, tomato sauce, every single day, with potassium-retaining meds, your system can slowly become overloaded. So here's my advice. If you take medication for blood pressure, heart failure, or have been told your kidney function is a little low, watch your potassium. Have it tested. Eat tomatoes in moderation and not in every meal. Avoid concentrated tomato juice in the morning if you're also taking medications that retain potassium. Balance your plate. Don't stack all the potassium-rich foods together. Because the danger with potassium isn't sudden, it's cumulative, and it often shows up as a heart rhythm problem long before it becomes a full-blown stroke or heart attack.
Let me ask you, do you drink tomato juice in the morning? Do you use tomato sauce or soup several times per week? Have you ever felt your heart flutter but brushed it off? Type 1 if you felt anything like this. Type 0 if not. I'm not saying you have to fear tomatoes, but you do need to respect them because after 60, even familiar foods deserve a second look. And speaking of familiar, there's one more vegetable that often hides in plain sight. It looks innocent, crunchy, hydrating. But for seniors on diuretics, it might quietly cancel out your medication and increase stroke risk. We'll finish with that in the next section. Number 7, celery, the hydrating snack that can cancel out your meds. Crisp, refreshing, low calorie. Celery seems like the safest snack in the world. A stalk dipped in peanut butter, a few pieces chopped into soup, even added to your green juice.
For many older adults watching their weight or trying to manage blood pressure, celery feels like a guilt-free choice. But what you might not know is that celery has a natural diuretic effect. It helps your body eliminate water and sodium, similar to how blood pressure medications like hydrochlorothiazide work. That might sound like a good thing, but if you're already on a diuretic, combining it with too much celery can create a dangerous imbalance. You may start to lose too much water. Your blood volume shrinks, and that leads to two hidden dangers. Your blood pressure drops, especially at night. Your blood becomes thicker, raising the risk of clots. This is exactly what happened to one of my patients, Mr. Douglas Riley, 75 years old, retired woodworker, quiet, strong. He came in after having a mini stroke. His speech had slurred for about 20 minutes. He felt dizzy. His right hand had gone numb. But by the time he got to the hospital, the symptoms had passed. The cause? Not cholesterol, not sugar, not smoking. Douglas had been eating 2 to 3 large stalks of celery every day. Raw in the afternoon, cooked in soup at night. Why? He had read that celery lowers blood pressure. What he didn't realize was that his prescription diuretic and his natural celery habit were both working in the same direction, pulling fluid out of his system too quickly. And that created the perfect conditions for low blood volume and blood thickening, which triggered his mini stroke. He was stunned. "Doctor," he said, "you're telling me celery?" Yes, because after 60, even the lightest foods have a bigger impact. It's not just about what you eat. It's about what else is happening in your body at the same time. So here's my advice. If you're on diuretics, do not eat large amounts of celery every day. Use it in moderation. Drink more water throughout the day. Avoid doubling up on natural remedies that copy what your medication already does. And if you've had episodes of dizziness, speech slurring, or tingling, even if they went away, talk to your doctor, because that mini stroke might have been a warning. Let me ask you, have you ever eaten celery regularly and felt faint, weak, or noticed changes in your blood pressure? Type 1, if yes. Type 0, if no. I want to know how your body responds. In the next and final part of this video, I'll show you what to do instead. Because after everything we've covered, all the healthy foods with hidden risks, you might be wondering, what should I eat? How can I protect my brain, my heart, and my balance without living in fear? Let's answer that together.
You've made it this far. That tells me something powerful. You care. You're paying attention. You're not just surviving. You're trying to understand how to live better, even now, even at this stage. And for that, I deeply respect you. Because what we've covered in this video isn't about fear. It's about clarity. It's about knowing that even the foods we trusted for years, spinach, kale, beets, soy, tomatoes, pickled vegetables, celery, can behave differently in an aging body. And that doesn't mean you've failed. It just means it's time to adapt, to update the rules for the body you live in today. So here's what I want you to remember. After 60, your body does not need more power foods. It needs stability. It needs rhythm, simplicity, hydration, and awareness. Instead of drinking beet juice at night, eat a balanced lunch with steamed vegetables. Instead of raw spinach every day, rotate with cooked greens in small portions. Instead of fear, build a habit of checking your medications, watching how you feel, and listening to your body's signals. Because what you eat affects your brain, your memory, your speech, your balance, not just your stomach. A single fall, a skipped heartbeat, a slight slur in your words, these are not just symptoms. They are messages, and I want you to catch those messages before they become emergencies. So today, I challenge you to pick one small change. Maybe it's removing nightly kale juice. Maybe it's drinking more water. Maybe it's calling your doctor and asking, can we review what I'm eating with my medications? That simple step could protect your brain before it needs saving. Because aging isn't about loss, it's about gaining wisdom and applying it. You've earned this knowledge. Use it. And if you found this video helpful, type 1 in the comments to let me know you're with me. Type 0 if you're still unsure. I want to hear that too. And please, send this to someone you love, someone over 60. Because the truth is, they may be eating all the right foods and still walking toward a stroke in their sleep. Lastly, if you've ever experienced blurry vision, even when your eyes are fine, if you've ever wondered, is this dizziness coming from my eyes, or something deeper, then please watch my next video. Blurry vision. The problem isn't in your eyes, it's in your brain. I'll show you how what you see or don't see may be a sign that your brain is crying for help. Until then, stay aware, stay kind to your body, and always remember, small changes today protect everything you love tomorrow.